Hi folks, it's Angel, Hunting Gear Guy. This is the Savage Stevens 334, also known as the ATA Turkua. It's a Turkish-made rifle that Savage is importing. You might think, oh, Savage, they're all American. Savage manufactures in Canada and has for a long time, and they even import some stuff from China, like the Stevens 320. So this is under their budget brand, Stevens 334, and it's imported. But is it any good? I mean, this thing's pretty much the same price as the Savage Axis. I'm going to do a separate video on the Axis versus this thing, which I'll link a card up here when I'm done that. But for now, why don't we just take a closer look at this thing. First, yeah, the chamber's empty. Yeah, the magazine's empty, of course, but I like to show you that I check these things. You should check these things before you're messing around with your rifles too. Starting at the back of the rifle, it's got a pretty plain stock. The butt pad does not really have a lot of squish to it. In fact, this top, it's not a heel. The opposite of the heel is plastic. So you can see right there, a little bit of rubber down here, a little bit of squishy, but not really a lot. Not that you need it. These only come in short action cartridges right now. So they come in 243, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 308. So all those 308 family cartridges. Bonus there, it's got a real short action. So many of the budget rifles, even some of the more expensive rifles, just use one action length these days to save on manufacturing, which means you don't actually get the short action, and you actually get a little bit more steel, a little bit more weight than you really need to for the cartridge size. So yay, we got something that's actually made for a short action cartridge. Fantastic. Kind of coming a little bit closer, we got this kind of cheek swell here, and that's even on both sides. So that part of the rifle could be ambidextrous. We get to the bolt here, you see, wow, that's nice and low. And that's because, like so many rifles these days, instead of using 2 lugs, they're using 3, and therefore they get away with a 60-degree bolt lift right there instead of 90, which means that there's lots of room around the scope, and they've even got it kind of sitting away from the body here, so it's quite easy to grab and pull out. It's not like sitting flush in with the body where it's hard to get to. It's very easy to get out. The other thing to note with this rifle, it's got a very smooth bolt, especially, again, this is at the very bottom price point for a bolt action rifle, and the bolt is nice and gliding and smooth, and yeah, just kind of falls back on its own. So that's nice by itself. Saw me take out that mag. Just a tiny little 3-round magazine, single stack. Kind of like a Tikka. You know how Tikkas use like this little single stack magazine? This is quite small. And even though it's only 3 rounds, it's still not flush fit. It still pokes out a little bit. You can actually get a bigger magazine. I believe Turkua makes like a 10-rounder, and I bet dollars to donuts it fits in this thing. Moving up from the back here. Okay, so we have a couple of things I'm going to show you there. One is a cocking indicator, so we can see that that's red. That means that it's cocked. And then we have a 3-position safety on the right-hand side. Right now we're on red is dead. We can move it to the middle position, and then we can move it all the way to the back to lock the bolt. So middle is on safe, and back is safe, and the bolt is locked, which I like the feature. I do like 3-position safeties, because if you're hauling your rifle around in the bush and a branch hits the bolt, it's not going to unlock it. It's locked already, right? What I don't like is, I don't like 3-position safeties that are up on the right-hand side here. I prefer them to be tang, or again, as a righty, I prefer them on the tang or somewhere accessible. You know, on the AR, it's like right here. But so many rifles, like the Ram 700, that kind of thing, seem to like to put them up here. The other thing I don't like about this safety is it's very clicky. So if I've got a deer maybe 5 yards away from me, it's impossible to do this quietly, because it's just, even there, I can't do it. I'm just going to flick it forward, riding it as much as I can just to keep it quiet, but it's not going to be super quiet when the deer's there. You'll notice at the top there, we got a nice Picatinny rail. It's actually, it's set for, I believe, Savage 110 bases. See my article for that specific information. But it's got a Picatinny rail on there. That's nice, because that gives you some room to move the scope around so that it's where you need it for your eye relief. The other thing I really like about the scope and the stock combo here is this stock is not made for iron sights, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but so many rifles these days. My Savage Axis, if I put my cheek up on it, I'm practically looking down the barrel from the back, whereas this one is quite a bit higher. I still would need like a little bit, if I want like 100% cheek rest on here, I'm still going to need like about a 1/2 inch of material. but it's still better than a lot of the contemporaries out there right now. So that's pretty good, and I do like having a pick rail on top there, and you can, because you'll notice that the action starts right there. So I'm not going to eject the rounds into the scope or anything like that. They're just going to come out the side. So that's all good. Now let's measure that trigger pull from the factory. Now there's a 2-stage trigger pull, which means that you're going to pull just a little bit. That's our first stage. There's not really a lot of weight there. You're just pulling straight back against a spring. Oh, let's get a little bit more room here with our trigger scale. And let's see what we can pull here. Just pulling straight back. That was around 5.5 pounds, a little bit heavy, but this is an adjustable trigger. So let's see if we can crack into this thing and make it a little bit lighter. All right, I cracked into this thing, and interestingly, yeah, it is adjustable, but I think this is a Savage thing. So that screw right there on the trigger, that adjusts how much of a 2-stage it is, like how long that first stage is. This guy right here goes down to the spring. That one would adjust the spring tension on it, but on this one it's filled with wax, which I've seen on other Savage rifles, so potentially that's what they're doing to keep it lawyer safe, I guess you could say. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to adjust, well, I mean, yes, with a little bit of heat, you could adjust the, the trigger pull on this thing. If you're curious, I used a number 5 Allen bit. I don't know what that is in Imperial. It's probably like a 3/16. Is that the same thing? Let's find out. And it's kind of a little bit loose. You'll probably want a number 5. And then there are pillars that come out. So they've got these little steel pillar inserts. You'll need to make sure you pop back in there when you put this thing back together. Magazine release, really easy to use. Just pop it down and out, and it goes back in just very easily. I do like how the magazine goes in. I just don't like that it's single stack, because if this is a double stack magazine, I could fit 4 and I could fit them flush in the bottom of this thing. Whereas with this single stack mag, I only fit 3 and I don't even get a flush mount with it. So boo earns for that. The stock does have like these little grippy inserts. This is kind of like a rubber material. This is just plain plastic. This is rubberized right here, and we have a little rubberized section right there as well, all the way up to the forend, and it's pretty grippy. And wouldn't you know it, look at what we have right here. Steel sling swivel, oh my goodness, sling swivel studs. What a concept this day and age. Steel ones. So many manufacturers are doing the cheap ass way, and they're molding it into the stock, and they do break. Not these steel ones. So nice to see on a new rifle. And then coming out to the muzzle, it is not threaded for suppressor or anything like that, which, given that I'm in Canada, I don't care. We can't have suppressors here, and putting a brake on a hunting rifle is silly. So don't care about that. Why don't we take this thing out to the range? So I got some fantastic accuracy out of this thing. Right between, well, the best group of the day was this guy right here. That I measured out to be 0.5 MOA. That is not going to be every group that you fire with this gun, though. I got anywhere between 0.5 and 1.2, depending. This was with a gold medal match. I tried some Winchester and a bunch of other stuff, and it was all right around 1 MOA or a little bit less for the 3-shot groups, which is pretty good. That's all you really need for hunting, and that's all I really think that a hunting rifle should do for you. Now, if you want to remove your bolt and clean this thing, what we're going to do is take that bolt up and back, and then you're just going to press on this button here, and that will release the bolt. If you don't wiggle it sideways, it'll release it easier. So there's our 3-lugged bolt, and this one is in 308, so I don't know, the heads are going to be the same on all of them, aren't they, right? To reinsert, we're just going to pop her in there and press that in a little bit, and in we go. So where does this leave us? I think this is the better budget bolt action rifle today. The Savage Axis is good. This one's a little bit heavier. Like this one has some downsides. And again, I'll go through that in the Savage Axis versus 334 video. But this is a very good rifle. Just because of the 60-degree bolts, I would say that I would recommend this because it's just better for that. The accuracy, all the other stuff's going to be very similar. The 3-round mag doesn't really matter if you're hunting because you one shot, one kill, right? Shouldn't need more than like that 3-round mag anyways. And if you really need to, I suppose you could port load it with another one and go for 4. But yeah, it's a really solid rifle. This one was pretty good. Adjustable trigger, yeah, all good stuff. And I would say I'd recommend it. Thanks for watching.